cars and tanks and guns came to take away our sons, but every man will stand behind the men behind the wire. Through the little streets of Belfast in the dark of early morn, British soldiers came marauding, wrecking little homes in scorn, heedless of the crying children, dragging fathers from their beds, beating sons while helpless mothers watched the blood pour from their head. Armoured cars and tanks and guns came to take away our sons, but every man will stand behind the men behind the wire. Not for them the judge and jury, nor indeed a crime at all. Be when Irish means we're guilty, so we're guilty one and all. Round the world in three Lotecos, Cromwelin's men are here again. England's name again a solver in the eyes of honest men. Armoured cars and tanks and guns came to take away our sons, but every man will stand behind the men behind the wire.
For 5 years now, the boys who will sing that sort of song have lived on the battlefield of guerrilla warfare. At their age, it's hard to remember any other life. Their favourite game is foot patrols. It reenacts the daily routine of a troubled area, searching, questioning, photographing suspects. It also acts out the hatred the children feel. At what age do these games become reality? Is hatred an incurable disease? Even if the troubles do subside, will the troubles end for these children? Perched on the heights above Londonderry is a housing estate whose name has in recent years become notorious throughout the world. This is the Cregan. 15,000 people live on this estate, including 6,000 children. In many ways, it's like all the other overcrowded estates throughout Britain. But the Cregan has one special problem built into its birth. Londonderry has a Catholic majority shown on the dark green areas of the map. But the Protestants, shown as light orange, used to have a majority of seats on the council, and when the Catholic Bogside became hopelessly overcrowded, they put the new housing onto the only land available within the same ward. That way they kept control. The result was a ghetto. One set of shops, one factory, virtually no entertainment. Any sociologist could spot a classic environment for vandalism and violence. Yet the local constabulary admit that vandalism didn't come to the Cregan until the Troubles. With the Troubles came the security forces, who applied a tourniquet to Craigavon Bridge, the only road to the Bogside and the Cregan. And behind the barricades, the IRA boasted that they ruled Catholic Derry. That was until Motorman, when the army occupied the no-go area and established itself in a camp on Cregan Heights, known locally as Piggery Ridge. This, to Cregan youngsters, is authority. Even a film crew has more contact with these children than the British soldier, who never gets near enough to talk to them, is under orders not to retaliate to provocation, and mutely watches their uncontrolled antagonism. So the soldier sits in the back of his armoured car, frustrated, and photographs the opposition.
There's a photograph of a minute child. He's probably doing it because he's seen everybody else do it. There's a little girl. She really looks as if she's enjoying it. She probably is. It's the local cowboys and Indians, as far as...
Colonel Mike Thorne, commander of the 2nd Anglians.
Again, a charming face. Doing a very naughty thing there. Now, they were getting a bit worse. Young man, probably trying to tempt the soldiers to do something they oughtn't to do. He's got 2 large bricks in his hand, which, if they're thrown at a soldier, will cause considerable injury. Now, I may say that we've had something like 40 soldiers who've had injuries to their faces or heads of some sort requiring stitches in 4 months. Now, that young man is quite capable of doing that sort of damage. But of course, he's too young to be arrested. He's outside the law. And his parents have, I'm afraid, very little control over him at all. And by and large, they don't believe that they're doing wrong. They don't know they're doing wrong. And they're a good example of a little group getting together, waiting for a target to come, be it soldiers on foot or a vehicle. One final photograph of the same group actually in action.
The boy in the striped pullover is 9-year-old Paul. By common consent, the best stone thrower in the Leland Gardens gang.
Paul's a marksman. He spread about 3 soldiers.
He may or may not have split 3 soldiers. But there's nothing exceptional about Paul, his brother Pat, or the others. Nothing, that is, except that they live in the Cregan, in the Troubles, and that Richard has lost his sight.
I was hit with a rubber bullet.
How did it happen?
I was coming up from school up a field beside the school. The field was in another school, and we were running up racing, and I stopped and I started walking. The rest of them ran on, and I couldn't remember nothing after that. I got 54 stitches in the foot, and I was only in a hospital for 2 weeks. But
These kids are playing with death, though they probably don't really understand what it means. It could be the troops firing rubber bullets at rioters, or the crossfire between gunman and soldier.
We were stolen the breads going down Mullen. We were in the park and
We-
the gunman opened up from...
We dived the
I
ground.
don't want to say.
When they
Paul
picked
and
up
Pat were
us,
paralysed with fear.
When they picked us up, we were all stiff.
Really? Stiff?
Just trying to get there.
Probably
Then
let
they
me
just
shot.
pulled us up the same way as we were lying.
And
he was just standing beside the gunman.
when I was shot, the gunman was about
Just from
10
here,
yards away from me.
here they Pat.
To Richard, the crossfire meant contact with his heroes, the provisional gunmen.
If it hadn't been for another gunman, I would have been shot. He got a hold of me and he got me up behind cover and he says you can go ahead now.
Last night, we were coming down Broadway and we heard shots. You know, just before, a second before the shots, we heard talking out the back, out some back. And then we seen flashes and the shots. And we dived in that garden and knocked at the door. And someone opened the
12-year-old Joseph, as cool as any veteran.
What sort of shots were they?
machine gun fire.
Can you tell what's happening just from the sound of the guns?
Tell
Can
me
you tell
what's
who's
happening.
firing and so?
The machine gun fire, and the soldiers is just SLR.
You know, the army's gun usually make a crack sound.
What sort of sound is that?
I know it can sound
Just go.
like a crack.
The children know the caliber, action, range of every gun carried by the army or the provisional IRA. Where other kids get their excitement from fantasy or television, these boys have the real thing. They can taunt, stone, harass real live moving targets, and 9 times out of 10 the soldiers won't retaliate. The excitement worries psychiatrists. It will be hard for such children to settle down to peaceful lives. Yet they live in dull, underfurnished, overcrowded houses. This is where Paul's family lives, 12 of them in all. The house has 3 bedrooms.
I sleep on here and Pat sleeps in it. Or else Paul or... See, I sleep on here and sleep.
Brendan is 14. The brothers have an impressive collection of war trophies. This was a major's swagger stick.
Wonder how he lost it.
I think it belonged to a soldier got shot.
An officer who got shot.
A major.
To collect stamps or football programs would be tame compared with rubber bullets.
How many rubber bullets have you got between you?
About 15, about 17 altogether.
Pat, does it worry you when you throw stones and they fire the rubber bullets back at you?
It worries me sometimes. Every time they fired, I crouch on my knees so it won't tap me. Me and the net, and the net threw a stone, it hit the side of the jeep. And I fell on the back, and they shot a rubber bullet, and my net pulled me down. And if he hadn't pulled me down, I would have got it in the head.
What would have happened if you'd been hit in the head?